Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Cortine. I am here with my good friend Chris Lepardi, and we want to welcome everybody back for another episode of A Father's Love: Healing Through Heartache. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
Dan, how you doing? I'm a little sick, but I'm gonna tough through. I'm excited to be back with you for another episode.
Well, it's great to have you here, my friend. And yeah, it's just another day in our life of plugging through whatever's thrown at us, and we still do what we have to do, right?
Exactly, gotta take it second by second. That's literally how I felt since the day Mason passed away. That um, you have to take it second by second. It's too hard to plan otherwise with what's going on with us.
Exactly. And that leads us right into tonight's topic. We are going to discuss what seems like a very simple question: how are you? And when you're a grieving person, that answer is tough. And so I'm gonna give Chris a chance to start off because he has one or two examples right off the bat of just how that question is no longer the same for us. So, Chris, take it away.
Yeah, Dan, thanks. Yeah, how am I doing? Well, um, it's almost hard to answer, to be honest. It's every day is so much more difficult now than it used to be, and the simple things or even the simple little problems seem so much bigger now than what they used to. A good example is last week, Carson, my 4-year-old son, he hurt himself. He was being a little goofball, jumping on my bed, and he jumped the wrong way, and he said he landed on his head and he hurt himself pretty good. Being the concerned parent with everything Amanda and I just been through, we watched him like a hawk. We were just keeping an extremely close eye on him. Now, it just so happened that he was complaining that his chest hurt, um, and I couldn't really attribute it why his chest would hurt because uh, I did a lot of checking of his head, his neck, chest, arms, basically making sure everything seemed normal. I didn't see any disformities. Gave little squeezes, little pressure here and there, see if anything caused him to say "ow." Nothing, but he still kept complaining that he had this pain right in the middle of his chest, right at the sternum pain. At the same time, he was getting sick. We could tell he had a very mild fever, runny nose, sneezing, normal cold stuff. The hard part about all this is you, because of what happened with us with Mason, I really second guess all my decisions a lot before of some of his medical uh, procedures and how everything kind of worked out. Should I have taken Mason to the doctor sooner? Did I wait too long? Did I, because of COVID, should I have pushed harder for Mason to go into the doctor? So it's really for someone who's, I feel like I was a very confident person before. I second guess a lot of things now. So I wasn't 100% what I wanted to do with Carson in terms of should I take him right to the hospital right now? Well, he's complaining of some pain, but there's no obvious problem that I can see up front. And maybe just pulled a muscle. I mean, he said he landed on his head a certain way, and that could be possible. So we decided to wait it out and just kind of watch him like a hawk. This was on Sunday, and he was right next to either me or Amanda the whole day. We had our eye on him the whole time. That night he kind of woke up and he was complaining of some pain and still very concerning for us. And he's getting more sick. He's getting stuffier. We can tell. And now I'm trying to think: are these two things combined together? Is that what's causing this? Is it something separate? What should I do? What should I do? Still not knowing what to do. Tuesday night it happened again where he was waking up in pain and crying, and he even asked that he wanted to go to the doctor. So I said, all right, we're going right now. So we went in at 2 a.m. To our local ER and got him checked out and got an x-ray of his chest. Everything looked normal, no obvious deformities, everything looked okay, and they wanted us to just keep monitoring him and paying really close attention to him. And he seems fine now. He's doing good, not in any pain, not really sick anymore. whatever he had for sickness is what I'm attributing to what was waking him up at the night, because myself, Amanda, and the boys, we all got that sickness, and we were all in some pain for a lot of days. I got it this past Friday night, and today's Wednesday. Uh, I'm still a little congested. I still have some chest congestion, but I'm feeling considerably better compared to the last 4 days. But the hard part about all of this is, that hospital visit is so much more difficult now. The beeping of the heart monitors, the nurses, the doctors, the rooms, the smells, they all trigger these difficult memories that you don't want to go back to, but you have no choice. You love your other kids, you can't let them be in pain. You have to make sure they're okay too. And that's the hard part of the day. What do you do? How do you get through those moments? How do I get through? To be honest, I do a lot of prayer. I'm praying the whole time. I am a nervous wreck, though, as I'm waiting for the doctors. And it's hard because even when the doctor tells me Carson's okay, the doctors told me Mason had a 95% chance he was going to be fine, and now he's not with us today. So, yes, there's still that 5% chance. I understand. I really do. But when you're a parent and you're there with your kid and you see what looks like pain and what's going on, and they give you hey, there's a 95% chance your son is going to be fine, you take a big breath of relief, like this is going to be okay. And it didn't work out that way for us. So even after we heard that Carson was fine, we've been watching him like a hawk every day. Every day, I must have asked him at least 100 times, "Are you feeling okay? Do you feel sick? What's going on? How are you feeling? Does it hurt?" Those are just the anxiety that is built up from all of it. It's hard, and it just makes it hard to kind of live day by day, if that makes sense, Dan.
It totally makes sense. I've been fortunate that I haven't been back to a hospital since that day we lost Jameson, but I know Reese thinks I'm really weird and crazy and maybe a little bit psychotic because every cough, every sneeze, every whatever it is, it's Reese, are you okay? There's that very much heightened sense of panic and fear that, oh my God, something else is going to happen that we didn't know about. And we've had Reese tested for what took Jameson's life, and we've been told that he doesn't have it, thank God. But as Chris was saying, is that a 100% chance? What if they did the test wrong? What if it grows into him? Something. There, as Chris and I have talked about before, there's just that constant haunting of so many different things that we have in our life now daily that people that aren't grieving don't have to worry about. And it's hard. It's draining. It's emotionally draining. It's physically draining, and it just strikes panic in us like crazy anytime anything comes in. There is no minor sickness in our lives anymore.
Yeah, I'd agree. The panic, that's perfect word for it. The panic of, oh my gosh, now what happens? And it's such a deep fear because if it happened once, you're afraid it can happen again. And of course, for Amanda and myself, what Mason had typically affects kids ages 4 to 10. So I'm in that window right now for Carson. So if Mason had it, can Carson have it? Could he develop it? I'm hoping, because we're so hyper vigilant now, we can prevent anything from happening. And to be honest, it's something I beat myself up for. I always will forever. I feel like I didn't push the doctors hard enough, and that's never going to happen again. I promise you that. I'm getting what I want for my kids. They're getting whatever test I want, whatever x-ray I want, and it's going to happen. And that's something I have to do for myself mentally, and it's something I have to do to make sure that my other children are okay. And, I've been told a million times, you did everything you could. And while I appreciate everyone saying that, Did I? I don't know if I did. I second guess it all the time, and it's something that kind of eats you up on the inside in that sense that, yes, COVID had just started. Should I have pushed harder to get Mason in to the doctor? I tried to make an appointment, but because it was literally the start of COVID, they were not seeing him. They would not. And now I'm starting to think, man, maybe I should have went to the ER. Maybe I have that option as with my dependents that I just go to the ER. If I can't get an appointment, I can either get a referral for a doctor off base, or I can just go to the ER. And why didn't I do that? And it it was part of my naiveness to think that I was naive to think that the doctors were telling me the right thing. But I need to remember now, and I do pay a lot more attention, that doctors are humans too, and they make mistakes. And wow, I'm not going to say that that doctor killed my son. I do feel like he had a contributing factor because he kept telling me it was allergies, and it obviously wasn't allergies. Mason had pneumonia, and we didn't know it, and it's a hard pill for me to swallow now. But I won't make that mistake again. But it's something that, how are you doing today? That question. Well, I'm second guessing myself with everything, if I'm honest, and that's part of the difficulty of the day. Do you have any of those? What kind of eats at your mind, Dan?
A lot of the same things. I think, yeah, it's just an everyday thing. Everything eats at my mind. Everything that deals with Reese eats away at me. And again, mentally, physically, spiritually, every ounce of it is just a struggle daily. Chris, I am curious, especially with you, because you started this in COVID, what your thoughts about COVID are. Because Erica and I have been very worried about COVID, not for us, but for Reese. As a grieving parent, we could care less. We're ready for Jesus to come right now and take the world away so that we can all, let us all just go be up in heaven and end our misery down here. And I know as a Christian that's not the right mindset and the wrong thing to say, but that's the season I'm in right now. And we're okay with that. We're not suicidal in any way. We always try to make that very clear. We're not suicidal in any way, but we are ready to go if God wants us to come home. But when it comes to Reese, that just adds a whole layer of wrinkles to it. Of we just had this conversation today when we got home, actually, because again, what if one of us went? Because I have my physical Friday, and what if the doctor comes back and says something? I'm okay with it. Chris and I were talking about it earlier about exercise, and we'll probably discuss that later tonight. But I don't care about my health right now. It's one of the least things that I care about because I'm okay going. And if the doctor comes back Friday and says, "Man, your health is so bad that you're gonna die pretty soon if you don't fix something," I'm like, okay. But then there's that flip side of, yeah, Reese, because we obviously don't want him to grow up without us for as long as possible. And I think that's just one more example of the really morbid thoughts that go on in our minds when you're grieving somebody, especially a kid. The thoughts that go through our minds are just horrific at times. And so COVID has really messed with our minds a lot. And when it started, we never were in the we've got to stay home and protect ourselves completely, but we wanted to know that we were in control as much as possible of everything with Reese. Every environment he went into, we knew that we had as much control as possible over it, and if we couldn't have that element of control, we didn't go there. and that's why we've had recent online school, because with all the safety precautions that have been implemented, which are great, you cannot control 20 other kids and the environments that they're coming in. Even if they pass the temperature check that morning, that does not mean that they're not sick. So having that many different environments coming in, we didn't want Reese near that because we couldn't control that. Church kid zone, we didn't send him there for a long time because we can't control what the other kids may or may not be bringing into. And so COVID is just really, really, really messed with our mind of, oh my God, what if? And all this, kids don't get it. That's a bunch of hogwash in our eyes because the virus is so new, people still don't know. And if every month it seems like it comes out that younger and younger kids can get it, or the variant, they can get it, and it just doesn't help us. So, Chris, I'm curious, especially because you started this, as you said, right at COVID. What's that done to you mentally and physically?
Yeah. So yeah, I actually solely blame Mason's death on COVID. I really think if COVID wasn't going on, I could have got him in sooner, like I wanted to, like we were trying to, and we would have been able to find that pneumonia quicker. He could have been treated, and this ADEM would not have been developed. Again, ADEM is when your immune system, instead of attacking the sickness, starts attacking the person's brain. And the way I'm thinking is that Mason had pneumonia for a long time and we didn't know it. Now I knew he was coughing. He was coughing, not, but it felt like a normal cold, to be honest with you. He spit up phlegm a couple times, but nothing consistent. And it might have just been my lack of medical knowledge in the sense that I had pneumonia too, and I was on what felt like my deathbed. I wasn't out of bed for like a solid 3 weeks. I literally laid in bed. That's how bad I was. But as I think about it now, if it hit me that hard, it probably hit Mason that hard too, and he was just stronger than me in that sense of being able to kind of tough through it with that walking pneumonia. Um, yeah, just I blame COVID for a lot. It's affected our lives a great deal. My all my boys are, well, actually. So Carson goes to preschool. We send him into preschool. We he needs it. He needs to be with the kids. He can't. He needs to be with kids his age. He's got two teenage brothers basically, and he's 4. So we felt like it was worth the risk to send him in there. Um, I did a lot of research on the data, how many kids his age got sick from COVID, extremely minute, and I felt it was worth the risk. Um, for me personally, I even would feel it was worth the risk for my older 2 boys to go to school if they were actually interacting with kids for their mental health. But the mere fact that they're going to class and they're still separated really far apart, they're not talking to anyone, they can't talk at lunch, they can't talk in class, well, then what's the point of them going into class? So my older 2 are virtually learning now. They do all their classes at home. They don't have any anxieties about going to school and being, because we just moved here to Delaware, so they don't know any kids. They have no friends here really. I feel extremely bad for them, in that sense that at least they had some friends in Idaho that they could talk to and be with. And here in Delaware, they don't have any friends. We're on our street is being built. We were one of the first houses. Not a lot of kids in the neighborhood. So, you know, I just think, wow, if COVID wouldn't have happened, it's affected so many people's lives. So many people have passed away from it. It's affected my life. I think it has contributing factors to my son passing away. And I'm glad, in my opinion, I see what feels like a light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine and getting the country to a herd immunity status, and maybe us getting to some sort of normalcy again one day. But I'm always going to know that the pandemic that we lived through, in my opinion, took my son's life.
And that, I think, is just one of the perfect examples that people can't possibly understand if they're not going through what we're going through, of just the thoughts that go through our mind and the horrors that haunt us daily. So,
For sure. And, another aspect, well, why don't we just jump into it right now, Dan? Not switching topics too much. We haven't even really talked about this too much. We brought it up today, actually, about our physical status, the way our bodies have changed physically since our children have passed. I know for me, when Mason passed away, I gave up for a long time. I'm not even at a year yet, and I would say it was a solid 10 months of me like not eating healthy, not getting the right amount of sleep, trying to do miles for Mason and getting some miles in, but they weren't as effective because I wasn't taking care of myself in other ways. And I'm recognizing that even though I don't have the motivation a lot of days to do it, I need to do it for a lot of different reasons. And the biggest reasons are Amanda and the boys. I think about if I were to pass, how would they go on? What would they? I feel like I have obviously a very important role in my family, and if I'm not here for them, as selfish as it is, like we talk, like I'm ready. I don't have any suicidal thoughts, but if I were to go pass away right now and I could be with Mason, I'd do it. But I don't want to die. But I'm not afraid to die. I don't have that fear, I guess, like I used to. So I'm trying to. Dan and I were talking about this a little bit earlier about, hey, what can we do to get ourselves back in that physical condition to take care of our families? And to be honest, we'll probably feel better about ourselves once we get to that point. But it's a slow work in progress. How do you feel about it, Dan?
yeah, I think I've been in that cycle for 2 years now of just I don't care about my health. I don't care about exercise. And Chris said it perfectly. I'm okay dying. I don't want to die. I do want to go see Jameson, but exactly what Chris said. I don't want to leave Erica and Reeves here alone. Um, so, but with that said, I don't care about my health one bit. As we talked about last week with Rachel, every day is survival, and every day we're looking for calm for that day. And for me, exercise just isn't a positive contributor to that. I don't have the energy. It takes every ounce of energy I have just to get out of bed and go to work every day. And I have an amazing group of students this year. And last year's group of students was absolutely amazing. And they do a wonderful job of taking my mind off the pain that my life is right now, but they can't do anything about my energy level. It is every second, everything I have to do every day is a physical drain and a mental drain. And then on top of that, the working side of things, there's the personal side of I'm still the husband and the father who wants to protect my family in this house. And how do you do that when you are completely broken yourself? I don't know. I I don't have that answer. So it's exercise is something I know I do need to do, but it's not something I truly care about. I laughed today when Chris wrote about it because just timing of things is always interesting. And for the last couple weeks, I've been really, I guess since I made my physical, I've been really thinking, because I know I need to be in better shape. There's no doubt about that. But I've been looking at exercise bikes in the house because in my lazy way of exercising, I can ride the exercise bike in my room while I'm watching TV. Because I would rather not give up TV than go exercise. But I can, if I get an exercise bike, I can plop that in front of the TV and kill two birds with one stone. And if I'm really good, I can still drink my rum and coke while watching TV on my exercise bike. So I figure it's a potential win-win or win-win-win situation. And Erica, I've asked her about it, and she's like, no. You're not getting it because I have a habit of buying things and then not using them. And I have a drum set sitting right out there because I've always wanted to play drums, and I thought a year or two ago that I'd be able to get a drum set and teach myself how to play drums, and I don't have the energy to do that. So my hope is, if Erica's listening, my hope is that I can sell the drum set and then use that money to buy the exercise bike, and who knows, she might go for that. Um, but it's just, yeah, it's something I know I need to do, but I don't have the desire, I don't have the energy to do it, no matter how important you know it is. And I'm curious to see what the doctor says. I mean, I think I feel fine compared to every other year of my life, but I'm just exhausted every second of every day. Chris mentioned trying to sleep well. I try to sleep well, but I can't. I am just tossing and turning all night long. I haven't had a good night's sleep in I don't know how many years. Between some of that's just because I'm getting older and my body's getting sore, laying certain ways and all that, but a lot of it is just the constant thoughts about Jameson, and whether it's nightmares or missing him, whatever. But it just, I wake up. It seems like every half an hour, every single night, I'm awake, and I'm the person that if I fall asleep for even 5 or 10 minutes and then wake back up, I'm awake for a couple hours. I just cannot fall asleep for a long time, and that certainly doesn't help the following day when you're trying to just survive and find calm through life.
Yeah, there's no easy answer when it comes to this. It's like you said. I think not only our bodies change, obviously our minds change, our outlooks on life and experiences. Our experiences have changed us, and like you said, I'm in a little different boat with the military. I have to pass a fitness test or they will kick you out. So it is part of my job. And to be honest, um, I want to be successful in my job, so I know I need to do it. And I've been slowly making little changes, trying to get my weight down. The problem with me is I'm kind of like, I've always had this problem pretty much my whole adult life of I gain weight, I lose weight, I gain weight, I lose it, ping pong and back and forth. But I really want to get to the point where I'm mentally good enough to lose the weight and then keep it off and just make those smart choices all the time. And that's not meaning like, hey, never go out to eat and never enjoy life. It's just make smarter choices and train yourself how to do it. And I think Dan and I will be talking probably a little bit more offline. I think we're going to try and keep each other accountable and start working towards this goal. I'm going to help him. He's going to help me. And I think maybe we can motivate each other. Because to be honest, I got a goal of getting down there and running that fitness course, a Jameson's course, and I want to beat the record. So I need to keep training and getting ready for it.
And I think that's a great example of just how hard it is. I mean, it's my son's fitness course, and it's literally 4 miles by road. I think it's about a mile and a half as the crow flies, right? And I mean, it's right down the road. And when we built it, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm gonna train, and because I can't do monkey bars at my age and my weight, and I am by no means a large person, but I have some extra pounds that I could use, benefit from getting rid of. I can't do the monkey bars because I'm just not strong enough to pull that weight. And I did well not well, I did okay the first few weeks because Reese was there all the time. So I would go over and do some pull-ups and do the monkey bars. And I got myself pretty quickly to the point where I could do the monkey bars. I'm like, yes, there's progress. That lasted about a month. And then all of a sudden, again, I'm just like, I don't have the energy. I had a buddy at the beginning of the year. I was like, I'm going to do push-ups. Every day of the year, I'm going to do push-ups matching the date. So on the first of every month, I am thrilled because I only have to do one push-up. I can do that. And January was awesome. I did it every day with a couple rest days in there, usually on the 30th and 31st, right? But I did pretty well at it, and I had a buddy holding me accountable. And then February hit, and I haven't done push-ups since. Just, again, the motivation. But I think what it leads to is a great thing that Chris mentioned is accountability. And going back to how are you, um, I cannot strongly recommend enough that everybody find those couple people in your life right now that will hold you accountable and be your support network as you go through life. Hopefully, to support you through a lot of good things, but if I did not have that small group of people, who knows where I'd be right now? Because when tragedy hits, or I'm assuming a job loss or anything major in your life hits, you need those people around you who are going to dive right in to help you. And we've talked about those people that did that when they found out that Mason and Jameson passed. But you need those people that are going to be with you for the long term. And that's one of the reasons I'm so thankful for Chris, because he's one of those people in my life that I can talk to him about anything, and he's not going to say anything that is super hurtful or ill-intended or any of that. I know without a shadow of doubt that everything that comes out of his mouth is well-intentioned to help. And it doesn't mean it's all easy, like today's discussion on our health. It's not always easy, but it's so crucial that we have that support network to help us be okay in life.
Yeah, no, I agree, Dan. That, accountability, like you said, I feel kind of like we're brothers. We got to take care of each other. You got to have that support. I know for me, a lot of my support is, but like you said too, Amanda, she's my biggest support. But she's going through her own thing too. She's in pain too. So that's the hard part of who on the outside that isn't dealing with this pain, which is difficult too, because our family is dealing with the pain, and they're, whether it's loss of a cousin or grandchild or just loved one in general, it could be harder in that sense. So those friends that, like you had mentioned before, how they can help out, how they're real, they're honest, but they're not going to bring you down. They're going to lift you up and hold you in that sense. So super important to find that group of people that you feel comfortable with. And like we've talked about with all the other things, if you don't feel comfortable with them, or they're making the situation worse, then you need to distance yourself. You need to not associate, but don't lean on them as that accountability that we're talking about. Find those people that really make you happy and help you through those difficult times. That's really what's going to get you through this.
Yeah.
For me, again, it is Amanda. We bounce everything off each other. It's Dan. It's family members that I reach out to, that I know they're going to give me the God honest truth no matter what, whether I want to hear it or not. But they're not going to bring me down. They're going to say, hey, here's how we can do this together. Here's how we're going to help you.
Yeah. I had a discussion just last weekend actually with one of my best buds, and it it was just an amazingly wonderful discussion, because this is a friend who I hadn't. He's busy again. We get it. You all are busy with your own lives, and I'll say I, because I haven't talked to Chris about this. I am very needy and very high maintenance, and when I go to work, I admit that openly with my boss. Of look, I know that I ask a lot, but this is what I need. And he is so accommodating. And my former principal that left this year, she was wonderful. They worked so well to help us whenever possible, because they understand we're in a bad situation. But this buddy, I was hurting because I hadn't heard from him in a long time, because of he just lived his life, and he went to work, and he has a job that he's gone early in the morning and home late at night, and then he wants to spend time with his family and all that. And I get that, but that wasn't okay with me because I need him. And I know that's wrong and selfish, but that's my life now. I need support from people. And it really was hurtful that I hadn't heard from him in so long. And I really what I really started thinking about was that it wasn't that he didn't want to help, but he was just exhausted from helping me, and I got that. And what I wanted to hear though was like, "Hey Dan, I love you, but I can't be that person anymore." And since I had never heard that, it hurt even more that he had just kind of disappeared from my life. And I was left wondering, is he busy, or did I do something wrong to upset him, or is he just tired and trying to take care of his own family in life? Is there something else going on in his life? Just I didn't know what was going on, but it was just not a good comfortable feeling that I had. And I was thrilled last week we were able to go over to his house and just hang out again and talk. And I left there knowing that everything's good in our relationship. It's just life that gets in the way at times, but he still is there for me for that support network. And he is. He'll tell me like it is. He'll sit there and listen to me. That's one of the biggest things, is that when I talk, he doesn't interrupt. And that's, I think, one of the things grieving people need the most. We need people who will just sit there and let us talk and get out whatever we're getting out. And it may be something that we're not asking for advice. We just need to release. It may be something that we're asking for advice. And it may be something, as Chris just alluded to, that it may be something that we don't want the advice, but we need it in order to be better. But I was thrilled to walk out of there knowing that my relationship with this friend was still strong, super strong, because in the last month or two without him, I have been an absolutely miserable person, worse than I am usually since Jameson died. And everybody, find that network of your people that you can lean on, and do it before you really need them, because when life hits you hard and the way it hit us, you're not going to have the energy or the ability to find those people that are truly the ones that you need.
Great advice, Dan. I think that's something we're all kind of striving for, is finding that group of people that we know we can always reach out to. So, well, Dan, I think anything else you want to talk about today? You want to wrap it up now? How are you
Well,
feeling about it?
I do. I have one more question. Let's get to the heart of the question. How are you? On a daily basis, Chris, when you walk down the halls at work or wherever you are, grocery store. Hey, how are you?
I think we all kind of put on that face. We can, I think I can hide it pretty good if I need to. I'm so. That's how I'll say I am. I don't think about Mason's death constantly, but there's not a single day I haven't thought about it. So I put on a face when I need to. I can be professional at work. I can get my job done the best I can. I'm so. That's how I'll say. I'm not the greatest, but I was a lot worse. And if I'm even 1% better than what I was, I'm making progress. So I'm gonna say, I make that little 1% progress here and there, and moving forward, nothing's ever gonna bring Mason back. But I have my wife and other children that I want to be here for, and I want to help them, and I want to be happy with them. So I'm going to keep pushing forward until I'm at that point again. And to be honest, I have hope. We've talked about some people, some guests that are coming on. They lost their children a long time ago, 20, 30 years ago. And seeing some of the stuff they talk about and how they live their life now, they're happy. So I have hope I'm going to get to that point. So, how about you, Dan? How are you feeling?
I I don't think I hide my feelings very well. People have been very honest with me about that, just the way I am, I guess. But if you ask me how I am, my answer is going to be, okay. Because generally that's the good end of the answer, and it's either that or lower. And I want to ask everybody that comes in contact with me on a daily basis that again, if I don't respond to you in a very positive, happy way, or if I come across as rude, there's a really, really good chance that there is something on my mind at that moment that is just eating away at me, whether it's thinking about Jameson or beating myself up over his death or something in some way related to it, or the fact that like we just talked about, that I'm just exhausted from life. I'm not good. If you're expecting me to say good, then don't ask me how I am. This is a whole new life that, yeah, I have hope that in 5 years, 10 years, that we'll be where those other people are who have gone through what we are going through now. But I'm not there yet. I'm through with the year of firsts, but the year of seconds is harder in a lot of ways. And then the year of thirds is harder in a lot of ways. It just, every year is different. So just, again, and my recommendation to people, if, and it's hard, maybe even impossibly hard, but when you're greeting people that you know are hurting, try to stay away from the how are you, the questions, and switch it to a statement of, hey, it's good to see you. Or something. Rachel, again, listen to Rachel's story from last week. I think she had so many wonderful tips of things that have helped her. But if you give a statement, or that would be a lot easier for us to say, hey, thank you. And we don't have to put a false face on for any of that.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's why I think, like you said, a lot of us stay in our little bubble with the people we know, because we know it's easier to get through the day with that bubble of people, instead of reaching out and trying to either make new friends or just even talk to other people. So it makes a lot of sense. I definitely want to hit up again. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, definitely listen to it. Rachel brought some awesome pointers out from when she was dealing with her grief, and how people treated her, and how people were helpful and how they were not helpful. But that is our ultimate goal of this podcast, is to give people perspective on what we're going through with our grief, how you can be helpful to others that are dealing with grief, and things you shouldn't do that are just going to kind of make it worse overall. We got some great guests lined up where Dan and I are talking about some plans of when we're going to get them on, just figuring out schedules and whatnot, but definitely be listening for those as it's getting closer, and we're going to definitely have more guests on. We might have Rachel on again, right, with the loss of her mother as well, so close after her husband. And so we're excited to have those guests on and get even more perspectives.
Yeah, and Chris, you're going to have to share. I think we've talked about this before, that this podcast, it's good for Chris and myself. Even if we're just talking to ourselves, it helps, because we're talking to somebody that understands as well as anybody possibly can what we're going through. But ultimately, yeah, we do want to help other people. If we can help one person, then other than ourselves, this is worth it. And we've said it every week. We value your feedback, guys. If you're listening, let us know. If you're listening and you're hearing anything helpful, let us know. Send us a message. Leave a comment on Facebook. Leave a comment on YouTube. However you're listening. Email us, Facebook, private message us, whatever. It's really encouraging if we hear the feedback. If we really stink, let us know. And let us know why it's not helping you, and maybe it's something we can do better on. But we want to hear from you, to know that you're listening and that maybe we're making a difference. And Chris, you got to share the story. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one.
Yep.
Yeah. So with the podcast, we've been trying to share it on as many Facebook groups as we can, grief groups. We really want to get the word out about our podcast and have as many people listen. And I randomly had a person message me the other day saying, how do you still have any kind of faith in God with what happened to you? He lost two of his very close loved ones in a very short amount of time with that. And it really just kind of opened up a dialogue between us. Come to find out, we went to the same high school. Now, he graduated many years before me, but still such a small world that on just one of these grief pages I posted, he was from Western New York. He doesn't live in Western New York anymore. He lives more in the central part of New York, but lived in Western New York, went to the same high school, knew exactly. He told me the street he lived on. I knew exactly where it was. He knew the main road that I was by, and just a small world. And now I've developed another friendship with someone, and if he needs to reach out to me, he can. We'll talk. I know if I needed to, I could talk to him too, of course. And it's just nice to know that people are listening, and we're here to help too. We're all going through this together, and you guys can definitely reach out, and we'll do whatever we can. We'll give you guys our advice. And I told him how I felt about the situation with God and how I thought about it, and I think it helped him in some degree. So I appreciated him reaching out, and hopefully we can keep discussing that as we go.
Yeah. And we want to remind everybody too that we're not talking just for people who are grieving. We're talking to everybody because we all know people who are grieving. And hopefully you're picking up some tips of things that worked for us and didn't work for us that make you think before you're put into that position, because I would say chances are high that we're all going to be in that close circle of friends for somebody at some point in our life. And maybe we can give you some tips that'll help you. So, so yeah, Chris, anything else?
No, nothing else. I appreciate everyone taking their time to listen, and again, sending those comments. Send Dan or myself Facebook messages, or on our Facebook pages, the Miles for Mason or Jameson's Joy. Send us a message on there. I won't say the email because I don't have it memorized yet for Jameson Joy, but I know I'm getting closer. I'll let Dan tell you that, and hopefully you guys will listen in. We're getting close to having some more guests on, so let us know what you think.
Yep. And the email is info@Jameson's Joy. And this is a joint effort between Jameson's Joy and Miles for Mason. We're only saying that email every week because Chris is still working on getting Miles for Mason set up. So it doesn't matter how you contact us. We talk multiple times daily. We just want to hear from you. So subscribe to the podcast. We're on all major podcast networks: Apple, Google, Spotify, and some other random ones. Subscribe so you get the alerts when we launch a new episode every week. And yeah, send us a note and let us know what you're thinking because it helps us. So thank you all for listening. We hope you have an awesome week. Chris, I hope you feel better. Kick that illness that you're going through in your house. And we'll see you all next week on A Father's Love, Healing Through Heartache.